Guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Modesty33 here, aka Chris with a C, back at you with another video. If you're new to my channel, you just happen to click on, welcome. I try to put out different videos, but guys, we're not going to talk about that because I have been on a hiatus. If you don't know, which you probably don't know because I didn't tell you, but if you're my family, you know, but you know, if you're not my family and you're just watching, then you wouldn't know. But I had surgery back in January, so I have been taking a break from, you know, YouTube and content posting, uploading things, just because I was really focusing on trying to heal. So this is my debut back, and hopefully you guys have been enjoying some of my older videos. I am still getting comments and remarks, so thank you all for still watching. I really appreciate that. And those who have subscribed in my absence, thank you as well. So guys, today I wanted to come back to you guys with an lock update. We're going to start here. I do have a video talking about my e-readers that I currently have in my collection and how I've been using them. And so that one is going to be posted soon. And just because while I was down and out with the surgery and trying to recover, I did get quite a bit of reading done on my different e-readers. So I did want to talk about that. But today, you guys, I wanted to do a lock update. I had just finished getting retied number 9. And we're inching toward that 1-year mark of me being locked. And so I just want to give you guys an update, give you a little bit of background on my lock journey, as well as talk about the pros, cons, you know, things I'm looking forward to. And so guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. So first off, I did go out a little bit earlier today. Today is Sunday, March 9th at the time of me recording. Don't know when this is going to be uploaded. But I did go out a little bit earlier today. It's like in the 50s here in Houston, Texas. And let me show you my little cutie I went out with today, which is my Hermes Picotin Lock 22 in the gold on gold hardware with my Twilly here. I haven't carried this bag out in a while, so I was so happy to go out today. Oh my God, she's so cute. I just had to show you the bag before we get started. So that's not what this video is about. It is about hair and locks. So as far as the background, guys, want to get into that of my lock journey. So I did get locked the last week of May of 2024, so around Memorial Day. And it took 31 hours for my install. I do have micro locks. A lot of people mistake them for sister locks. They're not sister locks, they are micro locks. So if you want to know the difference in depth, there are quite a lot of videos explaining the difference between micro locks and sister locks. Just in short, sister locks is a patented method of installation for small locks, and it uses the interlocking method. So there's only one method to my knowledge of installing sister locks, and it uses a grid pattern that is again patented by the brand. Whereas micro locks gives you a bit more flexibility with installation. There are multiple ways to install micro locks, such as you can braid in micro locks, you can 2-strand twist, you can palm roll them. So those are just some of the methods of installation for micro locks, and they don't use a designated grid pattern. That's why you will see a lot of videos where people install their own micro locks. They watched a video or they looked at some content and they just did it on their own. And that's nothing new. I think people have been doing that for years and years since, like I've known people to have locks. There have been quite a few people who've done their own lock installations and just kind of did it with 2-strand twists, and their hair just went through a natural locking process. So, but as far as micro locks and sister locks, that's kind of some of the primary differences. But I personally have micro locks. So my micro locks were installed, like I said, the last week of May of 2024. Took 31 hours, and the installation method was 2-strand twists, though my loctician did braid at the root to help with slippage. But it was 2-strand twists. It was a bit cheaper to do 2-strand twists, and it was going to be quicker. But still it took 31 hours overall over a period of like 2.5 days. And the cost was about $1,200 for the installation at the time. I live here in Houston, Texas, so that I'm not going to say that's the base range of the price. That's just what I paid personally. Some factors that went into the cost for my installation were the length of my hair, which my hair was locked with 12 to 14 inches of my natural hair, as well as the density and the coarseness, which I have very dense hair and it's very coarse. but my loctician was super excited when she saw me for consultation, and she said she loves doing installations on hair texture such as mine because she feels like locks flourish the best with a denser and coarser texture of hair. So that's not, you know, a universal statement. That's just in her experience. So that's just a little bit of the background. I did 3 different consultations, decided my loctician was the 3rd consultation I did. I just really liked her vibe. I liked her professionalism. I still continue to like those things, but she's still very chill. I liked her prices. She has a website, so everything was pretty clear, concise on her website. So that is what I did like, and those were some of the deciding factors for me to go with her as a loctician. I liked her hair. I liked her body of work that I saw on Instagram. There's somebody else that I followed on YouTube who went to her as well as far as maintenance, not for their installation, but I love that person's hair also, and she raved about this loctician. So yeah, now she's my loctician as well. So that's a little bit of the background, and essentially as it relates to the why did I choose locks? I was sick of doing my own natural hair. I did look for a beautician here in Houston that could manage my natural hair, and I was just getting roadblocks. Like I said, I have a very dense and coarse texture of hair. A lot of people that I saw didn't really like that because it is going to take more time and attention to do my hair than maybe someone else with a looser pattern or who doesn't have as dense of a hair type as mine. So it's just really interesting how, like I said, like it's a barrier for one person, and even for myself in doing my own hair, it was such a barrier. It took such a long period of time. But when I went to my loctician, she embraced me with open arms. She was so excited to see me, like, oh, she was so excited about my install on my texture of hair. So it was just super interesting, like, yeah, like how I was just embraced by the lock community. So yeah, that's a little bit of the background. I want to move on to the things that I like and things I don't like, my overall opinion, all the things. So hopefully this is helpful to some people, but these are just my personal opinions. Like I said, one thing I like about locks is I just love the fact that I don't have to use a lot of products. So I cut down on 99% of products that I was using, which I wasn't using a whole lot of products on my natural hair to begin with. But yeah, even over half of those products got cut. So in the past almost year of me being locked, the only 2 products that I currently use on my hair are water and oil. That's it. I don't use anything else. And I have like I feel like it's so interesting because I would think without conditioner, my hair would be super duper dry, and maybe I just haven't gone through that phase of my lock journey yet where that will happen. But to date, my hair is just really bouncy. It feels moisturized. So it's just very interesting how we feel like we need to put all these different things in our hair. And maybe for loose natural hair, those things are required, but it's not required at all for locks. So I really love that, water and oil. So that just simplifies everything to the utmost for me. It's very much of a cost saver. So my money can be put in other places, such as my reties. So another thing that I really like about my hair is the consistency, the continuity of, I pretty much know when I get up how I'm gonna look. One of the things I talk about in so many of my videos and my updates is the fact that just as a person who's been in the natural community for over 14, now like 15 years, I don't value variety. I don't value variety or versatility. Those are not things that I personally value. I value consistency and continuity. So yeah, like versatility was something I valued when I was very early on into my natural hair journey, when I was within the first 3 to 5 years. But I feel like after I got past the 5-year mark, I just want my hair to look the same way all the time. And so I have a baseline level of beauty and aesthetic when I, walk out the house, when I get up in the morning, something that's not going to take me 20 years to have to do or maintain. So with that being said, yeah, I really love the fact that pretty much when I get up, when I work out, when I go out the door, my hair is gonna look overall the same. I do still deal with certain issues that I dealt with as a loose natural. We'll talk about that as far as the cons. But overall, I feel like I have more of the consistency that I've been looking for in my look and aesthetic with locks than I did with my loose natural hair. So that's another thing that I really like about having locks. The other thing is having another set of eyes look at my hair and my scalp, as opposed to me being the primary person responsible for that. So I did go to like different beauticians throughout the 14 years before I decided to lock my hair, but maybe that was 2 to 3 times a year, not with any type of consistency. Whereas I have to maintain a retie schedule with the size of my locks every 4 to 6 weeks. So my preference is 4, but I have gone 5, and the next 2 reties for me are actually going to be at the 6-week marks. So we'll see how that goes. It's not my preference, but it's just kind of how things worked out with my loctician schedule. But yeah, so the next 2 reties are going to be a bit more spaced apart than what I'm used to, but I'm still glad to see her. I'm glad that she can lay eyes on my scalp. She did notify me when I initially got my installation about a scalp condition that she saw, that I was able to go to the dermatologist and get treated. So that's something I wouldn't have known about otherwise. I just would have experienced that and just thought it was normal. So that's another thing that I really like, is having another set of eyes on my scalp to help me maintain the health of my hair and scalp. The other thing, is there anything else? Those are like really the 3 primary things that I really like about locks at this moment in time. What else? I think those are the 3 primary things that I really like. And again, it's not without its cons. So let's get into the cons, and then I can just do an overall wrap up. And if I think of anything else, I'll kind of put it in that category wherever it fits. So as far as cons, so like I said, I do like having another set of eyes on my scalp to help me with the maintenance of my hair health. A con, which isn't necessarily a con for me at this point in time, but I can see where it could be a con in the future, is when you become dependent on another person for the maintenance of your health, of the health and, the health and well-being of your hair and scalp. So that can be definitely a con, because what if something were to happen where my loctician moves away, or she is no longer wanting to do hair or able to do hair, she makes a life change and transition, then I have to figure out, what am I going to do with my hair? I have over 550 locks in my hair, because we didn't do an actual count when she did the installation, but she says it is about 600 plus locks. She did the smallest ones possible for my hair density and texture that could be done. So yeah, it is over 600 locks that I have currently. And I thought about this, like, what if something were to happen to her? She wasn't. One thing that came into my head is that I could do, while I look for another loctician, because that's ultimately what I would have to do, is look for another loctician as a transfer client, is I could do like retwisting. That's something a lot of people will do that I've looked at on YouTube. They don't necessarily interlock their locks when they are needing a retie. They will retwist them, which is something that doesn't last as long as interlocking, but it's a lot quicker to do than interlocking. And it's kind of like a quick fix that you can do. And I've looked at some of the videos on retying or retwisting, should I say, and it's something I could definitely do myself if I was in a bind and I was like looking for another loctician and seeing if I could do a consultation and be a transfer client. So that's a con. And yeah, if you do lose your loctician, you do have to try to look for someone else to be a transfer client. That can definitely be very stressful, because locticians definitely have different signature styles and ways in which they do things. So you may like one more than the other, just like regular beauticians. So that can definitely be a stressful thing. And yeah, having to go through that process again of finding another person who you feel like is just as good, if not better, than the person you were going to, seeing if they charge a similar amount, or you may have to pay more, you may have to drive out further. So these are all things that I can definitely see would be cons to getting locks and being locked into you know, having to be on a schedule with another person. So that's why some people install their own locks and they do their own lock maintenance. So that's a really good thing if you had the time and patience to do that. I don't, so I would definitely have to. I have the patience to retwist. I think I could do that. And then I would definitely have to look for another loctician. And yeah, that would just be what it is. And because my loctician did the smallest lock, she did tell me that that may be a barrier in the future. If I were to ever go to another loctician, they may not want to take me as a transfer client since the locks are so small, and it would be, you know, some time to do retwists. My loctician, it takes her about 4 hours to do my reties, but it could take someone else longer, again, depending on their skill level. But yeah, that's something to really think about and really, you know, sit with, guys. If you are interested in locking your hair, these are things that may happen in the future that you would have to deal with that could cause stress or anxiety, you know, in trying to manage and deal with that. As far as, you know, am I going to do my own hair? Am I going to try to find somebody else? You know, all those things. So moving on from there, another con I would say would be, I do, like I said, value consistency and continuity. I'm still trying to get that with where I am in the lock stage because my hair is still susceptible to shrinkage. I thought we were going to put all that behind me, but because I'm still locking my hair, it does still resemble loose natural hair in many ways. Like, I know a few weeks ago I went to church and one of my friends from church was telling me that she saw me from like a far off distance and she thought I combed out my locks. And it wasn't until she got closer to me, she was like, oh, I still see them. Yeah. And so I was thinking that now being 9 reties in, or like 10 months into my lock journey, I was thinking that I would be, I don't know if I thought I was going to be completely locked, but I thought I was going to be more locked than this, where I am, than, you know, where I am now than what I currently am, if that makes sense. I thought I was going to be further along than what I am, because I thought with my hair density and texture that I was going to start locking at around 4 to 6 months. And that has, maybe it has happened, but to me, yeah, my hair is still very closely resembling loose natural hair. And as such, I do still get shrinkage at times, though it's probably not as bad as it was with loose natural hair. Because again, my hair is still locking, but I do still get shrinkage. I do still get some tangling, and yeah, like those are things that I do still experience, which is a con. So I don't know at this rate at what point I'm going to be completely locked. Like I said, I am almost 1 year in. So at this rate, I'm thinking it'll probably end up being 1.5 to 2 years. We'll have to see, but that's a con, I guess. But I do still like the way my hair looks, but I wish it looked more locked than it looks loose natural, you know? So that's a con, I would say, but we're just, you know, rolling with the punches. It's definitely very beautiful, very full. So that's the thing that I do not like at this moment in time. I'm trying to think if there's something else. Yeah, the last thing I would say that I don't like is the fact that there's so much shrinkage when you do get locked, when you do lock your hair, that you do have to deal with and manage. Like I said, I locked my hair on 12 to 14 inches of loose natural hair. But guys, when my loctician was first doing my reties and just leaving it, like, this is a braid out. So, you know, I'm getting most of the fullness and the length from the braid out. But when she was just kind of leaving it, guys, my hair would be like right here. Like, I feel like it aged me 10 to 15 years. Like, it was not a look that I was loving. So usually the last 4 times she's done my retie, I told her to do a braid out. I'm thinking when I get to the 1 year mark, though, I'm just going to let her do it and not do the braid out, and we'll see how it looks. It's just I felt traumatized from that one time she did it, and I looked in the mirror, and that was one of the only times I've gone to her and I really was not loving my hair. And I went home immediately and I like twisted it, or I did a braid out, and it was fine after that. But it's just the shrinkage is so cumbersome. Like, it's just annoying. But it is part of the process. It's something you have to deal with until, yeah, your hair just kind of grows and gets to that point where you're comfortable. So that is another thing. But you know, the braids kind of disguise it, but I don't love braid outs because it takes me so long to remove the braids. Because I was like late this morning and it took me still 45 minutes to take them out, and I was late to church, and then subsequently I didn't make it to church because I was so late, because it was like trying to remove the braids. And I'm just used to 2-strand twists, which are, you know, so much quicker to take out. But yeah, yeah, it's just with the locking, we end up doing, you know, braids. So that's another con. But overall, I would say for me, the pros outweigh the cons. I've been overall very like in love with my hair, the look, the aesthetic of it. I am looking forward to see how my hair continues to grow and change in the upcoming months. One other thing I want to say that I just remembered I want to put in the pro category is my loctician does educate me quite a bit when I tell her that, hey, like with my surgery that I had back in January, she asked me, was I going to go under anesthesia, general anesthesia? And I told her yes. So she told me that sometimes what happens when you go under general anesthesia, very similar to when you have a baby and you experience postpartum shedding. So you can at times experience thinness or even shedding around the crown of the hair. So I have been paying attention to that. She told me there was really nothing I could do about that except take my vitamins, because she was telling me that, especially with the size of my locks, that it may be something that's noticeable, but it would be temporary and it would grow back if that is something that I experienced. I did not know that, and I did look it up after I left her that day just to get a bit more education about it. So usually it does occur between 3 to 6 months post surgery, post-op. So right now I'm in the 3rd month post-op. I haven't experienced any shedding. She said my locks are still coming along very nicely. But yeah, this is what we're looking like. This is where she said the shedding would take place. Typically, if I experienced it, and I haven't experienced anything like that yet, I have been really mindful, like I said, of keeping up on my vitamins. But that's something, yeah, I really appreciate the education that she does give me about my hair, my texture, even how medical, you know, how different medications and procedures can impact the health and growth and even shedding of your hair. So that's another pro I would say for me with the locks. So now I want to kind of take my jacket off, my coat off. Let me show you guys kind of like a little bit closer up what we're looking like right now at 9 months. And again, like I said, this is a braid out, but let me kind of pull it. So this is, like I said, a fresh retie. Just got retied yesterday. And so this is like, yeah, the hair at the front. And I know, like, my best friend had asked me when she saw me a few weeks back, and I had my hair in a braid out. She asked me if my hair was heavy. It still feels like regular hair, so there's no weight to it at this time. I don't know when the weight will end up coming. I mean, I still get hot, and I usually will sleep with a bonnet still or with my hair up. Especially too when I work out, I'll, you know, have my hair up, especially if I'm doing Pilates, something on the ground. But yeah, there's no weight to my hair at this point. I mean, it's full, but there's no weight. Normally I'm just gonna sweat like I typically do. But that would just be the same with like loose natural hair. So I'm just trying to show you guys. I know the lighting isn't the best. Let me kind of do a turn so you guys can kind of see what we're looking like. Another thing that my loctician told me is that, like I told you guys, I was having the hair in the nape of my neck is the looser texture. So she told me yesterday when I had my retie that we have reached a milestone where I no longer am having unraveling of the hair in the back. So it is locking nicely. So that was a nice thing to hear. Yeah, so this just looks like a regular braid out, guys. Like I said, I'm feeling like, dang, like why does my hair still look like loose natural hair? And it could, like I said, be dependent upon the amount of hair that you start with, your hair texture, and just nature. I don't know, but yeah, I thought we were gonna be like stiff haired locked by now, but we're not there. But my hair is very soft. It feels very moisturized, so not at all dry. So those are the things I would say as far as my lock update and how I'm feeling right now. If you guys have any questions, let me know, comment below. But if you like the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, guys. I'm gonna try to get back into the swing of making videos and content for you all. And then yeah, so my next retie isn't for 6 weeks. We'll see how that goes. And yeah, definitely will be coming to you guys with updates when we get to maybe the next 2 reties and how I feel about the 6-week schedule as opposed to 4 and 5 weeks, how I've been doing. This will be, like I said, the longest period of time I've gone without having a retie. So I'll have to wash my hair more in between. But yeah, like we'll come back to you guys with more updates. And if you guys do like it, like I said, give it a thumbs up. Also share it with anyone else who likes this type of content and is maybe thinking about locking their hair or is already locked. Share this content with them. And before you leave, make sure you do subscribe to the channel. You do that by hitting the red button below and the bell next to it so you're notified when I do upload future videos. And again, you guys, thank you so very much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I will see you in my very next video. Bye, guys.